The marriage of Joe and Teresa Giudice was shown on the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and fans of Bravo were able to witness it firsthand. The viewers were taken aback when Joe used the C word to refer to his wife during the episode that aired during season 4. Although there were times when their marriage was not perfect, it was always obvious that Joe had a deep love for their 4 children. In 2019, Joe and Teresa divorced after 20 years of marriage, despite the fact that they had successfully weathered the storm of their respective prison sentences. It took another year for the divorce to be finalized. The surprising revelation that Joe Giudice, a former Bravo celebrity, made regarding his future with Teresa Giudice, his ex-wife, came earlier today. If you want to know everything, keep reading. Giudice discusses her opinions regarding her father's new girlfriend. Joe Giudice and Teresa Giudice have both moved on now that their marriage has ended. In the year 2022, Teresa tied the knot with Luis Ruelas. Joe Giudice was extradited to Italy after finishing his sentence for fraud and spent time in prison. After some time, he relocated to the Bahamas, where he has established a new starting point for his life. For example, a new girlfriend is included. In the past, he had a relationship with a woman named Carrie, but gradually, they broke up. Over the course of a recent visit on the Casual Chaos podcast hosted by his daughter Gia, Joe disclosed that he is currently dating a woman whose name is Margie. He has received approval from his 4 daughters, namely Gia, Gabriella, Melania, and Adriana. His new girlfriend was described as amazing by Gia. There have been rumors going around for years that Teresa Giudice and her new husband are having problems in their marriage. During the podcast, Gia even inquired of her father whether or not he would be open to the possibility of being reunited with Teresa in the event that she broke up with Louis. A startling response was provided by Joe Giudice. "Listen up. I promise that no matter what happens, I will always be your mother's buddy." Do you understand what I mean? That is why it is irrelevant. To put it another way, he stated, I'll always be the same with her no matter what. Following that, he stated, "You can never say never." In other words, if we are still alive when we are 90 years old, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. One never knows what the future holds, but for the time being, I'm content. On the other hand, what about Teresa Giudice's current husband? Is it possible that Joe Giudice does not favor the man who is currently married to his ex-wife? Hold on a second. His words were that Luis Ruelas was a good guy. An additional statement made by Teresa's former partner was, "As long as he treats you guys right, treats your mom right, that is all that matters." Another thing that Teresa's daughters adore is their stepfather. On the other hand, it would appear that Teresa's former husband reconnecting with her is not completely out of the question, at least from Joe Giudice's point of view. The response that Teresa has given to his astonishing statement has not been disclosed. If she were not married, do you believe that she would be willing to take him back? Speculate in the comments section. Those who watch The Real Housewives of New Jersey on Bravo are still waiting for information regarding the upcoming season of the show. Following the conclusion of a tumultuous season 14, the program was placed on hold. In the upcoming season of Special Forces on Fox, viewers will have the opportunity to witness Teresa and Giudice. The 4th season will make its debut on Thursday, September 25th. For years, Joe and Teresa Giudice's love story has been one of the most talked about narratives in the Bravo universe. From lavish parties to devastating legal battles, their relationship has played out in front of millions, making them one of reality television's most infamous couples. But now, Joe has stunned fans with a shocking admission about his future with Teresa, an admission that could finally close the door on one of the Real Housewives of New Jersey's most iconic romances. The Judice saga, a brief recap. When viewers first met Teresa and Joe, they were the quintessential Jersey couple, bold, flashy, and unapologetically themselves. But as the seasons unfolded, their picture-perfect facade cracked. Financial troubles, explosive fights, and eventually their criminal cases turned their marriage upside down. After both served time in prison, Joe was deported to Italy, leaving Teresa to raise their 4 daughters alone in New Jersey. Though they tried to maintain a united front, distance, trauma, and years of strain ultimately led to their 2020 divorce. Teresa eventually moved on with Luis Ruelas, while Joe built a new life abroad. Still, fans have never stopped wondering, could Joe and Teresa ever find their way back to each other? Joe's confession. During a candid sit-down with a Bravo-affiliated podcast, Joe dropped a bombshell. When asked if he could ever imagine reconciling with Teresa, Joe paused before giving a surprisingly vulnerable response. "I'll always love Teresa. She's the mother of my kids, and we went through more than most couples could survive. But as far as a future together, I don't see it anymore. That chapter is closed." The admission hit fans like a ton of bricks. For years, Joe has hinted at regrets, sometimes even suggesting that under different circumstances, their marriage might have survived. But this time, he was definitive. "She deserves to be happy, and I'm not the guy to give her that anymore." Joe continued, "I made my mistakes, I paid my price, and now it's about moving forward. For her, for me, and for our girls." Why now? So why did Joe choose now to make this revelation? Insiders believe it may have been prompted by Teresa's increasingly public devotion to her husband, Luis. After a rocky start filled with tabloid drama, Teresa has doubled down on her commitment to Louis, often posting gushing tributes and declaring he's the love of her life. Joe's not blind, one source explained. He sees Teresa moving forward, and he knows he can't compete with that. This is his way of saying he's finally letting go. Others speculate Joe's confession could also be tied to his own personal growth. Living outside the United States hasn't been easy, but Joe has quietly built a new life in the Bahamas and Italy, dabbling in business and staying connected to his daughters through frequent visits. He's finally finding peace, a family insider said. Part of that is accepting the past and not clinging to what's over. Teresa's reaction. How did Teresa take the news? According to sources close to the RHONJ star, she wasn't surprised. Teresa has been done with that relationship for a long time, the insider revealed. She'll always care for Joe, but she's not looking backward. She's all about Louis and building their future together. Indeed, Teresa has often said she sees her marriage to Joe as a lesson, not a failure. "I learned who I am and what I will and won't accept," she shared on her podcast. "That marriage shaped me, but it doesn't define me anymore." The fans speak out. Bravo Nation, of course, had plenty to say about Joe's revelation. "Finally, he said it," one fan tweeted. "We all knew Teresa wasn't going back, but hearing Joe admit it makes it real." Others, however, couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. "I'll never stop rooting for Joe and Teresa," another fan wrote. They were Jersey royalty. Even if it's over, they'll always be iconic together. On Reddit, fans debated whether Joe's comments were truly final or just another chapter in their ongoing saga. "With these two, never say never," one user joked. What about the girls? For Gia, Gabriella, Melania, and Adriana, their parents' relationship has always been complicated and public. But sources say Joe's admission is actually a relief for them. "The girls just want peace," the insider explained. "They love their dad, they love their mom, but they don't want to live in limbo wondering if their parents will ever get back together. Joe being clear about moving forward is healthy for everyone." Gia, who has often spoken publicly about her family's struggles, posted a cryptic but telling message on Instagram shortly after the news broke. "Sometimes letting go is the only way to find freedom." Fans immediately assumed it was a nod to her father's comments. Bravo's angle? For Bravo producers, Joe's bombshell couldn't have come at a better time. With RHONJ heading into a transitional phase, rumors of cast shakeups and format changes abound, his confession gives fans a fresh storyline to latch onto. "Joe will always be part of the RHONJ universe," one Bravo executive admitted. "Even if he's not on screen, his relationship with Teresa shaped the show. This moment is closure, not just for them, but for the viewers." Joe's future. So what's next for Joe Giudice? Surprisingly, he hinted at the possibility of love again. "I'm open to it," he said during the podcast, "but I'm not rushing. Right now I'm focused on myself, my business, and being the best dad I can from where I am." Still, he didn't rule out the idea of cameras catching up with him. "Never say never," he teased when asked about returning to Bravo in some form. "If the opportunity's right, maybe you'll see me again." Closing the door. At the end of the day, Joe's shocking admission may not come as a complete surprise, but it's still a watershed moment. For over a decade, fans have been invested in the Giudice marriage, rooting for love, redemption, and sometimes even reconciliation. But Joe's words mark a turning point. No more maybes, no more what ifs. For the first time, he seems ready to fully close that chapter, and in doing so, he's giving Teresa, their daughters, and himself the space to truly move forward.